Incredibly, it was built in only 12 years. Imagine building a wall 32 feet high, 15 feet wide from New York to California without any modern equipment. The Emperor Qin was a remarkable man. Originally, Qin ruled only a small state in the northwest corner of China, but that wasn't enough for him. Qin built an invincible army, and one by one, he conquered his neighbors. It was said, Qin ate up his neighbors as a silkworm devours a leaf. With all of China under his rule, Emperor Qin standardized measurements, created a single currency, the world's first euro. That's the good news. The bad news is that he was a paranoid tyrant who rewrote history to begin with himself. Qin's tomb reveals both how magnificent and terrifying his reign must have been. Here in 1974, just to the east of his tomb, a vast buried army was discovered. A terracotta army guarding its emperor from evil spirits. These aren't miniatures. They are life-size. So far, the Chinese have only dug up 10% of the site, and already thousands of warriors and some 10,000 weapons have been discovered. Look closely at the faces. Each one is different. The terracotta army was sculpted from its real-life counterpart. The army is drawn up in battle formation. At the rear, a command post of senior generals give commands, their age and status shown by their spreading waistlines. In all, it took almost 700,000 men 38 years to complete the construction of Emperor Qin's tomb. Once China was united, and he had reorganized his empire, Qin sent 300,000 soldiers to the northern frontier to drive back the ever-threatening nomads. When their job was done, Qin ordered his army to stay. And with an extra 500,000 peasants, they built the first Great Wall of China. The wall was made with compressed earth. It's a technique still used every day in the Chinese countryside. First, wooden planks are laid parallel to one another, as wide apart as the wall's thickness. Then earth is shoveled between the planks, watered and packed down by human feet. Then the planks are built upwards, and the wall continues to grow layer by layer. It is a cheap and fast way to make a wall. 100 times easier, it has been calculated, than building with stone. That's how Qin built 4,000 miles of wall in just 12 years. Surprisingly, these walls can last a very long time. The walls of this ancient city are nearly 2,000 years old, preserved by the extreme dryness of the Gobi Desert's climate. The wall protected China, but it took a terrible toll on its people. Millions of men died of exhaustion while working on the wall. Some say the dead were used as mortar and buried in it. They said that the bones of the dead were so numerous, it turned the mortar of the wall white. No one escaped the terrible rule of the Emperor Qin. Every peasant paid his taxes and contributed to the growing wealth of his empire. The greatness of China was built on the backs of the poor, and the history of the Qin dynasty is laced with tales of sadness. There is a fairy tale in China as well known to the Chinese as the story of Snow White or Robin Hood is to us. In the heart of a harsh winter, Meng Chengnu decided to visit her husband, who had been sent to work on the construction of the wall. Bringing warm clothes for her beloved husband, she went to the first tower and asked the soldiers where she could find him. They knew he was dead, but they couldn't bring themselves to tell her the truth. So they sent her to the next watchtower along the wall. Once again, she was told the same story. So she walked along the wall, searching desperately for her husband, from the Tibetan Plateau to the Yellow Sea. Here at last, someone told her that her husband was dead, one of the million tortured souls who haunted the wall. Her sadness was so great and her despair so intense that her tears made a great breach in the wall. There is still a temple dedicated to Meng Changnü. Here, pilgrims come to ring the bell for good luck and offer a prayer in front of her statue. They can even look through a telescope at the breach in the wall caused by the tears of their long-dead heroine. In the years after Emperor Qin's death, the people revolted against his empire. They seized the weapons of his terracotta army and smashed its harmless soldiers, setting roof timbers on fire and burying the army until its recent discovery. But this peasant revolt had little effect on future emperors. Soon, a new dynasty began to build a wall even greater than Emperor Qin's. Emperor Qin built his great wall with the blood and lives of the peasants. Now a new dynasty, the Han, continued his obsession with wall building, but they had some extra help. The bronze statue of the Flying Horse of Hunan is one of the greatest discoveries in Chinese archaeology. This was the ultimate weapon of the Han Dynasty, a new breed of horse introduced into China by her nomadic enemies. It was stronger, faster, and tougher than any horse the Chinese had ever seen. It was the cruise missile of that generation, so it is no wonder the artist crafted it flying through the air, its hooves resting on the back of a startled swallow. Now, despite their military success, the new rulers of China, the Han, still needed a great wall. So around the time that Christ was alive, they constructed a second great wall. In total, this great wall stretched for 6,700 miles and was the longest construction in all human history. It is a staggering 2,700 miles longer than the first Great Wall of the Emperor Qin. There is no wood, water, or stone in the desert, but the Han managed to build a wall that has resisted 2,000 years of erosion. You can still see the layers constructed with only local materials, layers of compressed sand, twigs, bark, tamarisk, and horse manure. The wall has withstood conditions that alternate between torrid heat for half the year and freezing winds for the rest. Building this wall in the middle of the barren desert was only half the task. It had to be manned. Soldiers were constantly told to be vigilant and not to move an inch from their posts. This was particularly true of those manning these towers, built miles in front of the actual wall. Despite millions of soldiers in the army, the wall is so long they didn't have enough men to post a sentry every few yards, so plenty of advance warning from these towers was crucial.